This is Orlando Wilson. What I want to talk about in this video is what if you need to bug out of a location for whatever reason. What if you needed to, I'm not going to say escape and evade, I'm going to say bug out of a location. Reasons being political unrest, you got involved in a confrontation with locals, hurt somebody, you don't want to report the incident to the police because in a lot of places the fact you're a foreigner means you're going to get your ass thrown in jail straight away. Your client has issues, there's organized crime issues, there's issues with the bad guys, and you just need to leave as promptly as possible. Now, I got articles online listing bug out equipment for vehicles, escape and evasion equipment, etc. That's all well and good, that's the perfect world. Generally, when, how can I put it, the shit hits the fan, you're not going to have that equipment with you. You're going to have what you've got on you now. Because generally when things happen, you're generally not prepared for them. This is where you want to be prepared all the time. And it's going to be virtually impossible to always have an array of equipment with you. But you can make sure that you're mentally prepared and you've gone over your plans and preparations of what to do if there is an emergency and you need to bug out of a location. So think about now. I tell people, whatever you do, if you're serious about this business, start thinking about how you would deal with situations all the time, even down to routes. Your counter surveillance, you should be doing that all the time. Route selection, you should be practicing that all the time because you have to go get from A to B, right? And again, if you need to bug out of a location, you need to know routes. You need to make sure you're not being followed. Think about now, how now, with the equipment you've got on you, if you needed to leave the country you're in and go to a neighboring country, could you do it? How would you do it? Would you jump in your car and drive? Do you have enough money for gasoline? Is there enough gasoline in the car? Are you going to jump a train? Are you going to jump a bus? Do you know where the stations are? Do you know the timetables? Do you know the routes? Are you going to jump an Uber? Get a taxi? Are you going to fly? Depending on the risk level, depends on how you want to do these things. I know in some places, some countries, the internal airports are monitored by the criminals. They're monitored by organized crime. So if people are looking for you and you turn up at an airport desk or a major transportation hub, be it a train station, etc., people might be looking for you. Depends on the situation, but this are all things you need to consider. Now consider what you've got on you now. Could you get to a neighboring country? Most important piece of equipment we've all got these days is our smartphones, cell phones. Okay, is your phone, do you have enough apps on your phone? Do you have a navigation app so you know where you're going? Do you have enough, I'm going to say apps, you don't need the apps, you just need the internet. Do you have the knowledge how to be able to book hotels, book accommodation, book train tickets, book plane tickets? Do you have an Uber app? Do you have a Lyft app? All this is stuff you're going to have to consider. Think about how would you move. The other thing you need to consider is how you're going to pay for these movements. How are you going to pay for accommodation? How are you going to pay for plane tickets, train tickets, etc.? Do you have enough cash? Do you have enough money on your cards, on your credit cards, on your debit cards? If you're looking to rent cars, in most places you can't rent a car without a credit card. Not a debit card, a credit card. Which means you need good credit. If your credit sucks, you ain't renting a car. If you're with a client, again, all this needs to be taken into consideration. Who's paying? So, I'd say most of us now, as we're talking, you're going to have your smartphone on you. So you're able to plan routes, book tickets, etc. Book tickets as long as you've got your wallet on you, you've got good credit cards, debit cards, and you have money in your accounts. Always have cash on you, because in some places, if you don't want to be on record, you need to pay by cash. Okay, so we're moving to the next country. The next issue would be, how are you going to cross the border? Do you have your passport? Do you have your travel documents? If you turn up at most borders without travel documents, one, they're not going to let you out of the country, and the next country is not going to let you in. Yes, you can always skip across borders. Depends on the country. Some borders in Europe, in some places, are fortified. So it would be very difficult for you to skip across the border. If you skip across the border, which you can in some countries, little hint, where you see the checkpoints on the roads, if you walk a few hundred meters to the left, to the right, generally the borders are open and you can walk straight across. Look at the US southern border. It's pretty porous, right? There's how many illegal immigrants pouring into UK by boat, right? So borders are porous. They're only difficult to cross if you're doing things officially, if you're being a good boy or girl. So again, if you get to a border, can you cross it? If you're not crossing with papers, once you cross the border, how are you going to make yourself legal? How are you going to get travel documents? Are you going to be able to get to your embassy? Do you know where your embassy is, and will they give you temporary travel documents? Most will, but you need to explain the story. And you don't want to be stopped by police traveling from the border to your embassy, because there might be a few too many questions. Simple answer would be, sorry, I've lost my passport. I need to get to my embassy. That works in a lot of places, might not work in some places. So always have a good cover story. I know a few people, quite a few people, that's crossed borders and then had to make themselves legal. Think about it. It's a consideration. It's a serious consideration if you're providing serious close protection services. But what I've just spoken about, how to get out of a country, how to bug out with the client, how to bug out if things go wrong, it needs to be part of your plans and preparations if you're going anywhere where there's a potential threat. I've been stuck in a few places, and you know what? You never think things are going to go wrong until they go wrong. You can plan for things to go wrong, but generally when they go wrong, you got to ensure your plans are flexible enough to deal with the situations, because generally when one thing goes wrong, a lot of other things go wrong as well. So this is where keep things as simple as possible. I'm a big believer in the saying, the more you know, the less you need. So keep your equipment to a minimum. Keep your equipment to a minimum, and ensure you've properly planned and you're mentally prepared to deal with any possible situations that might arise. So, as I say, I've got an array of books online to do specific aspects of the security business. I'm going to be throwing up a lot more of these videos in the near future. So, if you're connected with me on social media, reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any serious questions. In the meantime, check out my articles on our blogs, check out the books. They should be able to answer most of your questions. So be good, stay safe, stay out of trouble, and if you can't be good, and if the shit does hit the fan, don't get caught.